A space nun, huh? Oh no. Oh, I thought you
Nun.
You froze. As soon as I said space nun, you froze. Like, she got you. She's got him. She's got him. She's taken him.
Yeah.
Space
Nun.
Do you know, as I wrote that post, I kind of thought, I actually have no idea myself. Because it is such a ludicrous way for a series pretty much to go in horror.
I mean, absolutely. Unless it already starts in space, there should be no reason for a horror franchise to go to space.
Well, I mean, you look at it. The Jason X, he was frozen in. It was like cryogenically frozen, like a sort of demolition.
He was
man
cryogenically frozen on Earth.
Yeah,
because they go for whatever reason, and well, they don't know, do they? They just find a dude cryogenically frozen, and sort of they're like a salvage team or whatever, aren't they?
So there's your way into the future. But it's more so, why does this place have cryogenically frozen labs?
I mean, presumably it's Crystal Lake as well. I can't remember. It's a long time since I've seen Jason X, but I kind of feel like it's Camp Crystal Lake Cryogenic Freezing Center or something.
Yeah. You've obviously got Hellraiser 4 Bloodline, which I've seen once, but a long time ago. But it's bad, really bad. I think Hellraiser, I feel like you could do, because he's not real Pinhead. It was always categorized as one of the big slashers of the 80s and whatnot. But he's never. He's not actually a slasher or real, for that matter. So I feel like Pinhead could work. Leprechaun. I've never seen Leprechaun in space, and also I didn't realize it was called Leprechaun in space.
In space.
That's so shit.
But I kind of feel like with Leprechaun, it knows what it is. I think it knows it's not great.
God, I wouldn't be surprised if Saw went to space, because seeing how, I think we talked about it in the Saw 10 review, about how quickly he fucking comes up with and produces these traps. Like, how specific engineering needs to be, but yet he can do it like that.
Like that, yeah.
So there'll be some astronauts on the ISS, and there'll be a recording. Hello, gentlemen. It's time to play a game. And they'll just be trapped. There'll be all the windows will go down. There'll be these cogs turning, and he'll have set up all these traps on the ISS.
Yeah, that's it. Somehow he's got up there before him. I mean, after Leprechaun went to space, it went to the hood. And then it went back to the hood. There were two Leprechaun movies set in Da Hood.
Tell you what, if we got space and in the hood, we have a perfect pick then for the film.
We do. I think I need to send you an updated list, actually, because I've added a few more.
You've got a few more for the coffee.
Yeah.
By the way, the shaking picked up on the microphone.
Nice.
I was very happy with that. Very happy with that. So you could tell it is real. It is real. Speaking of, while I'm holding the raven-sized coffin, we might as well get into this.
Why not?
I'll go back to the Dreadcast, folks. First of 2020. Not the first of 2024, but first proper of 2024.
It's the first episode, solo film.
Gonna tell you now that it's not gonna be a long one, because I haven't got much to say. Yeah.
No, I don't really.
It's not a banger. We're not kicking it off with a banger this year.
It's not a banger. It's not.
It wanted to be a banger. I could tell it wanted to be a banger, but it's not a banger.
No, it kept me amused. I didn't, I wanted to see how it played out, but yeah, I was kind of like, oh well, that was a film. It
was certainly a film. We watched the film.
It was definitely a film.
And we will certainly start talking about a film. Una memento. But yes, welcome back to the Dreadcast. I'm old school. I'm still trying to do it. Episode 69, because I made last week's a two-parter. Last week's was our 2023 horror wrap-up, our top 10s. And they got split into two parts because I frankly didn't want to edit a 3-hour episode in one. So I split it up into two parts. So go check that out. Yes. Where was I going? The Coffin. The Coffin was introduced last week. Now, for our audio listeners, in case you didn't catch it, it is a raven-sized coffin. You know the size of that. Obviously, I don't need to explain it anymore.
Raven-sized coffin. I love that.
Well, I feel like it kind of leans into the horror, a bit Raven. A bit mystical.
Yeah, and it's not as horrific as describing it as child size.
You need to stop saying that. You need to, you're obsessed, mate. You need to stop saying it. People are going to put you on a register at this point. So the Raven-sized coffin, let's go over this quickly, has a mixture, you should be able to hear that, mixture of loads of categories, topics, criteria, shall we say. We pick 2, and we then have to find a film each that relate to our picks. And in the future, when this series starts, which will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will then be basically comparing both films, picking a winner from either ones. Now, the picks we got for the first, the picks we got out of the coffin for the first films sucked, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, you're going to ask me in a minute what my pick is, aren't you?
I'm not, because we still have time.
Because I can't remember what it's called.
No, we still have time. So our first picks out of the coffin, the Raven-sized coffin, don't forget, folks, the Raven-sized coffin, was Nightmare in the Title and 80 minutes or less.
Yeah, it was a really difficult combination.
80 minutes or less will not be going back in the coffin after
No.
this. 90 minutes or less is fine, because there is a category online somewhere of films that are 80 minutes or between 80 and 90 minutes. So we can
80
find
to
it.
90 minutes, I feel like, yeah. Because, I mean, if that was the thing that was hamstringing. At first, I was like, there's not really many horror films with Nightmare in the title.
Yeah.
Apart from, the obvious ones, Nightmare on Elm Street, etc. And then it was like, actually, no, there are quite a few with Nightmare in the title, but it's that 80 minutes cut off that is really throwing a spanner in the works.
It is. And I had found one, which I told you about, which I'm going to do my scientific research and make sure it's 83 minutes. I'm not going to say the title. You know it, though. I'm going to do my research to make sure it is 80 minutes, but with about 3 minutes of credits.
It's the credits that make up the runtime.
I feel credits do not count. So,
I think that's fair. I mean, to be honest, what's 3 minutes amongst friends, Tom?
but we'll get in trouble, Aidan. It's not
off. We made up the rules.
The higher power. The higher power will not allow it. I might get fired.
You might get fired.
And it would just be satisfying if it is 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just want to give it the first time we're doing it, we're already bending the rules.
This massive new series that we want to have a really long ongoing future with, and the first fucking picks are like,
this don't work.
I don't like that one.
So it fits.
Quick little shout out. I don't think he listens, but to Junkie Larry from the Creature Features podcast. It's actually my first horror podcast I ever listened to about 10 years ago. I messaged him the other day about this, and I wanted his opinions and what he thought. And he said, look into Japanese horror, because apparently a lot of the time they are quite short.
Okay.
So more than likely you might find one with Nightmare in the title or 80 minutes or less. So that's going to be researched this weekend. But if not, then it's the one I just mentioned briefly that I'm going to go with. So
I knew that was going to be up as soon as I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I bet Tom comes out. And especially as you'd already said, like, I think it's just slightly over 80 minutes. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely going to be this. But in a happy coincidence, I just happened to have bought a copy of it sort of a couple of weeks before. So I'm ready to go with that one. That's absolutely fine.
It looks hella fun.
It does look
It looks hella fun.
I've not watched it yet, so I'm if we do go with that, and I think we should, to be honest, because I'm quite happy to forgive 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Job's good. And on the other side of the coin, the one I've picked is...
It's not the 17-minute one, is it?
No. It's 79 minutes.
Ooh.
It's 79 minutes. But it's also a 2023 movie, and it's a 1-star.
Oh, beautiful!
So it ticks a lot of boxes of things that we've done recently, and/or other categories that we know that are in that coffin. Because 1-star reviews is a category that's in there somewhere.
Absolutely perfect.
I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It looks amazing.
As I'm just looking up now, I had no idea. Ju-on, the original Grudge, the Japanese version, is only 70 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So maybe there is.
There is. There you go.
The theory is right, apparently. Okay, but I mean, Japanese horror for the most part is good fun, and we don't really want that, so maybe not.
We want rubbish.
Well, so we'll get into that in a minute. Before, just two more things before we do get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode. Had a little poll going up on the Dreadcast Twitter, which is @the_Dreadcast. We're still growing on there. We're still growing, but I like to engage.
Yeah.
Engage with the community, put some feelers out there, see what people's opinions and thoughts are. Put a little poll up for what people thought their favourite film out of Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy was, which we have done on the channel. We have back in the summer, I believe. We finished. You can go check them out. Boom, boom, and boom. Right there. There's the cards. Right there. Go check them out. And only a few hours left, but I think with 4 votes only, I don't think we're going to get any more. But that's more than 0 votes, so I take that as a win. I always take that as a win.
There we go. I mean, that means it's trilogy, so there's definitely a clear winner. We're not going to have a tie break on 4 votes.
Now, did you vote?
I did. I can't remember which one I voted for.
Now, the thing is, now this is the sad thing. You voted, I voted. That means only 2 people else voted.
2 people not involved with the pod.
2 bots.
Well, thank you to those 2.
Yeah, thanks.
2 OnlyFans girls promoting their stuff.
Appreciate it.
We do appreciate it.
I voted for The Beyond. I preferred The Beyond.
I can't remember which one I voted for, honestly.
Well, City of the Living Dead obviously is with our reporter who is trigger happy with a pickaxe. Remember?
I think it might have been that one. Was that the one with the tarantulas as well? The tarantula death.
Oh, the tarantula death. I think that's The Beyond.
I mean, to be honest, they
do kind of merge into one.
There are some standout moments in all of them. So
but City of the Living Dead is winning. So, yeah, there we go. Nice little bit of news for everyone there. One final thing, just quickly.
Yes.
At some point, probably not today, next week, we need to talk about Deathstalker.
Oh, 100%.
We need to talk about the Deathstalker series.
I mean, yes, we do.
We need to talk about Rape Stalker.
I mean, it's awful, I'm trying. I was watching it. I was watching it with Vic, and there was, because I have, as well as like a bunch of horrors and stuff to watch. My watch list is also like all the cheesy sword and sorcery films I can find on Amazon as well. And I've got Deathstalker 1 and 2 on Blu-ray, so I was like, oh, let's watch Deathstalker, and I put it on, and we were a good like 20 minutes in, and before Vic actually started paying attention to it, I think she was on a phone or doing something on a laptop or whatever, and she looked up and she went, oh, we're probably going to see boobs in a minute. I was like,
oh yeah.
Like 30 seconds in, you missed it. Like we've had is an unruly amount of boobs in that film. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I think there's 4.
There are 4 Deathstalker movies. 3 and 4 are really hard to get hold of. Oh, I've not looked to see if I can get them online anywhere, but physical copies.
I will find a way, sir.
Physical copies seem to be rare.
Yeah.
It's talking over $100 for DVDs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I will continue my search because I think they changed the actor for Deathstalker in number 3 as well, and then go back to the original actor in 4.
And then I can never not mention Monique Gabriel, one of the best B-movie actresses around during the 80s and early 90s. Because her acting is just superbly bad. It's so monotone and emotionless, and she kept getting hired, so fair play to her.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it was her acting ability. That looking at some of the titles that she was in, I mean, she did at least 2 Emmanuel films. I don't think it was her acting.
She's in an incredible film called Evil Toons from 1991. If you've not, it's kind of Roger Rabbit, Space Jam, like cartoons in real life. It's fantastic. Again, many boobs are had in that film.
A smorgasbord.
Oh,
boobery.
A charcuterie board, if you will, of boobage. Oh, right. I think we can get into today's today's...
one more.
Oh,
thing.
Yes, Columbo. Yes, Columbo. What have you got to? What have you got?
Because I have to show off my latest.
Oh my god! Yes, of course.
Temu purchase.
Look at the state of that. It's got 70s Godzilla eyes.
It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Look at them eyes. Is it the paint job pretty good? Is it solid? Is it resin cast?
It's like it's like the sort of foam rubbery stuff. So it's fairly solid. I kind of want to put it next to the toilet and see if I can wedge a blue roll in there and have it as a little. But I've been told I'm not allowed. So, but the bathroom's the perfect place for it, right?
I think so.
So yeah, I ordered a bunch of mini painting, terrain modeling sort of stuff off Temu because I'd heard off a YouTuber that I watched that some of the stuff, is very cheap but reasonable for what it is. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. Ordered a bunch of stuff, and then I don't know if you're familiar with Temu.
No, I've never even heard of it until you mentioned it.
It's basically Wish. It's the same sort of thing. You're ordering something that you hope is going to be remotely close to what you're actually purchasing and stuff. There are certain things that you'd be mad to order off there, clothes, etc. But anyway.
Pills.
Yeah, medicine. Food stuff. You don't really know what you know. It's cheap, but you don't really know what you're getting until it arrives. So I ordered a bunch of stuff, and I was after like the little grass tufts and stuff because modelling, terrain, hobby stuff is so expensive. So there was good price. I thought if it's reasonable, then I've only wasted. If it's trash, I've only wasted a couple of quid. If it's decent, then I've got a really good deal, so it's worth it. Anyway, tucked a bunch of stuff in the basket, and then it's like, spend like X number of more, and we'll give you like a 50% discount or something. So it's like, oh yeah, sure, okay. And it kind of just, if you click yes, it just sort of comes up with a list of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like scrolling through it, and I think it must have gone off like previous searches and stuff. So I just saw the creature, and I was like, yes, I want that. But I totally forgot that I'd ordered it. So this parcel turns up that's all sort of large and kind of squishy. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Because in my mind, I'm thinking I've only ordered like grass tufts and cheap paint brushes.
Yeah.
So I rip open the bag and literally this thing is just staring at me and I laugh my ass off. I was like, that is amazing. I don't care what any of the other products are like in that parcel. This is the best thing ever. So yeah, a little sort of forgotten about, because it takes like weeks for this stuff to arrive as well.
Can you show me the underside? Can you show me the base of it?
So the base of it is just, it's got
it's got a wall hang.
It's just a little wall hanger thing. Yeah.
Dope.
And it's like a little bit of chipboard or something. But yes, just like I say, it was cheap and cheerful, but it's surprisingly well made and
ballpark without to reveal, but the fact you said you accidentally purchased it wasn't like I accidentally spent £500 on a creature of that. Is it like an accidentally? No, it's fine. Like it wasn't that much. Like
no, I mean I say it wasn't accidental. I totally went yes, I'll buy this.
Oh yeah,
but I just forgot that I had. So it was less than 20 quid. I think it was about 15 quid.
That's more than fine for that. Yeah, that's more than fine.
It was about 15 quid. I thought, if it had been like really janky and crap, then I'd have been a little bit annoyed. But 15 quid.
That's really good. Yeah.
And I mean, it probably worked out cheaper given that I got this. I spent enough to sort of qualify for this extra discount. So maybe I only paid about 8 for it in reality. So yeah.
Well,
for less than a tenner. Pleased with that.
Over the next few weeks, we look forward to seeing where this ends up in the house of Aiden over here.
Oh, it's going in the hallway. We're going to have a horror hallway. So I need to see if there are more wall hanger creatures or horror icons.
See, I would like to have obviously stuff in the background, cool stuff, horror stuff, but I've tried to make my living room over the year the theatre. So I've got favourite movie posters framed up on the wall like you in movie theatre. I've got my NECAs all lined up. I got a Godzilla shelf. It's the theatre, and I feel like I'm gonna keep it there. This is the game room. It's the office, the games. I'll have some sort of horror stuff in here though.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a Necronomicon still up there, and
I've got a few bits and pieces.
Yeah.
There's I don't think you can quite see it. I'm not sure. There's a Jason. There is a couple of
is there?
Nika figures. Yeah, I've got the Part 6 Nika figure.
Yes, I think you may have shown me that.
I think I've shown it before.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's really cool. That's a win. That's a great win. That's a really good win. Any other Columbos you need to
that is me. I mean, just I suppose another thing that I saw about 5 minutes before we started recording. Happy birthday to the original From Dusk Till Dawn, which I believe was released 28 years ago today. Although that was literally just some other post on Twitter. Might be wrong, but if it is, great. I don't check facts.
We do not get films like From Dusk Till Dawn. No, okay, right. I know what you're laughing at. Salma Hayek is god tier, okay? But we do not get films like From Dusk Till Dawn these days.
No, we don't.
From Dusk Till Dawn is pure fun.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's incredible. And it's also one of those films that if you don't, you're going to get a first time watching it experience. Sort of like with Saw, you only get that experience once where he gets up at the end, spoiler.
Yeah.
And you don't get that reaction again. But From Dusk Till Dawn, if you don't know anything about it, you're going into it for about the first half hour. This is a film about two bank robbers on the
it's a crime. Yeah, it's a crime
and then
thriller road movie type of thing. Yeah.
And then boom, we have vampires. It's just out of nowhere. I love it. I absolutely love From Dusk Till Dawn. And do you know what? 2 and 3 aren't bad. 3's not great, but 2's not bad.
Which I have seen. Which one's the one in the bank?
2. That has Robert Patrick in it.
That's 2. I have seen it many moons ago.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It starts off with Bruce Campbell and Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell getting killed by bats right at the beginning. Yeah, it's really weird, really random. Yeah. But yes, happy birthday From Dusk Till Dawn. I would love to do that at some point. That'd be so fun.
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that, definitely. It's a while since I've seen that one.
The soundtrack alone is one of my favourite movie soundtracks. Tito and Tarantula. Incredible.
Good old Tarantino. Right, shall we get into it then?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I guess so.
So technically, this is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit late for Christmas, or ridiculously early for next Christmas, depending on how you want to look at it.
I haven't thought of it like that.
But this was one of my picks. It was my second Christmas movie pick for December, which we didn't get around to.
Oh, it was your second one.
Yeah, various reasons.
So hang on, I'm blanking now. Did you pick Bloody Christmas, or did I pick it?
No,
I couldn't remember. Well. Oh yeah, because I was gonna go. That's right. I was gonna go with Silent Night 1 and 2. That's it. Okay, fine. Yeah, you had two picks, didn't you? You definitely had 2 picks. Yeah.
Okay. In my defense.
Oh, okay. I want to hear this.
I'm gonna come out. In my defense, I had not watched either of them beforehand. I was going in as blind as you were.
That's fine. That's fine.
But my main reason for picking this one for the Christmas horror thing was because it's about an advent calendar. It was something completely different. Like I've said this many times to many people, but Christmas horror films tend to fall in 2 camps. It's usually a slasher involving somebody dressed as Santa, or it's Krampus. It's a monster flick about Krampus, and this was something that was. Although Christmas, aside from it being an advent calendar, there's very little actual Christmas-related stuff in this.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. I was too focused on the advent, on what's going on. There's nothing Christmas related really.
There's nothing at all. I don't even think you see so much as a tree or
oh my god! I didn't even.
It's really, really blank. But I thought, okay. It sounded like an interesting premise, and I thought nobody's done a Christmas film about sort of a haunted advent calendar, cursed advent calendar, I suppose is how you describe it.
A cursed MacGuffin.
Magic.
Is what it
magic
is.
Advent calendar. As it transpires, it's not really a horror film, is it? It's very light on the actual horror.
It is. It is, and I specifically wrote that. I had a lot of notes for this film, but most of these notes end in question marks.
Yeah.
Just questioning what is really going on.
Yeah.
And the horror, where did I put? I'm really not. I wasn't getting horror vibes from it. Like
No,
I'm
no.
not. I wasn't sure if it was from the calendar itself feeling quite tame. Like I like the prop it is. It's quite nice, but everything about it felt tame and not really scary. And
it's not.
I should be scared of this, or
No.
even our chosen stereotypical demon ick.
Ick.
Like number one ick is not number one, is it?
I mean, it's. I don't.
What is it?
I think the main character Eva. I think she refers to it as ich. It's German. It's just so. She receives a German advent calendar, like a sort of traditional wooden thing, and on the back of it there is an inscription which reads. I did write it down.
Oh, it stands for I. Ick.
Schmeiß, yeah, it stands for I. Schmeiß du es weg, töte ich dich.
Bless you.
Apologies if I've absolutely butchered that pronunciation, but essentially that translates as if you throw me away, I will. If you throw this away, I will kill you, or words to that effect. I think they translate it in the film as if you dump it, I will kill you.
It's a little bit Ring-esque, or any other film that has a MacGuffin item like this that is kind of a latching onto our main character, and if anything happens to this item or it's mishandled in some way that it shouldn't be, then it's curtains for our main character, and they have to follow the rules. There's always rules. Now there are too many rules in this. The rules in this are everywhere, but that's our calendar.
Okay. I mean that's so. Yeah, so just the plot synopsis is we begin. It opens up with the main character Eva.
Yeah.
She's a paraplegic. Uses a wheelchair. It's hinted at previous sort of early on that she was hit by a truck. I think there was some sort of accident.
Which we do come back around to later on. Yeah,
and she's having a bit of a bad time. I think it's fair to say. Like her father's got Alzheimer's. Is it stepmother?
Yeah, I get the feeling her mother's passed away, and it's like a new evil stepmother. That's I'm going to assume wants whatever the dad doesn't care about the dad. Let the dad pass away, and it's all the house is hers and whatnot.
Yeah,
so.
I got definite evil stepmother vibes. From her. She's underappreciated at work, and there's a lot of sort of prejudice and against her for being in a wheelchair. She's treated as a second-class person by her boss and work colleagues and stuff, and she's not having a great time. Her friend comes back from Germany, and for her birthday gives her this.
You mean Shakira Light?
She's very much like Shakira.
She looks like Shakira.
She gives her this advent calendar, and then as every time she opens a door on this advent calendar, something weird happens essentially, and it's and then the rest of the film basically plays out with sort of the things in the advent calendar causing real life events and choices that have to be made, and it felt very much like a creep show, like expanded.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah,
like this could have been it could have been a pretty interesting short segment in one of the creep shows or something like that, and they sort of went, actually no, let's spin this out into a full length film. And it's sort of like I say, rather than it being a horror thing, it's more of like a monkey's paw, be careful what you wish for, sort of thing.
Yeah. The rule. We talk about the rules. So it was given to Eva by Shakira. I can't remember her name. Sophie. Sophie.
I don't think it's Sophie. It begins with an S though. I think it's
Shakira.
Oh no, maybe it is Sophie. Sorry. Yeah, Sophie.
And she just, but the thing is, she just states, because she works or lives in Germany, in Berlin,
Munich,
yes, Munich. And she got it for her as a present, for Eva as a present. It's not really stated why, or it's more just, I guess, of here's a funky advent calendar for you.
Yeah, she's not
I
like
don't
set up as being an advent calendar enthusiast
No.
or anything, is she? It's just
This
it
will
does
cheer
seem
you
an
up.
odd. It does seem an odd present. I guess
Yeah.
it's got that sort of nice traditional looking, like it's from a Christmas market and it's
Yes.
one of those sort of like, you know, but yeah, it does feel like a bit of an odd present for your mate.
This will cheer you up from your legs not working. She's having a really bad time. Her boss is really goofy, and I will get onto the boss. I need to talk about the boss of her job. Her legs don't work, and she's just having a bit of a bad time. An advent calendar. That'll do it.
That's it.
That'll
That's
do
what
it.
it is. That's what the kids are listening to these days. Advent calendar rock.
But the problem I feel with it. Sorry, I was just gonna say. There are rules to this advent calendar, which are stated outright. They talk about it outright from the get-go. But there's
it's the first door, isn't it?
There's 24 doors on this calendar, which in theory have different meanings and end up having different actions happening when each door. That's a lot of different things happening throughout the film.
It is.
There's too much going on in this film.
Well, which is why, and we'll talk about it later, there is one that just skips a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they're like, we got to get through this. There's too much.
I think the filmmakers realised, and they went, "Oh crap!" So it's presented. We're told as the film goes on, it pops up and it tells you what the date is, what the day is. So she's given the advent calendar on the 3rd of December, which means she's able to open the first couple of doors. So the first door she opens, there's a little note inside which says there are rules to this advent calendar. Rule number 1 is there's candy in the advent calendar. If you eat one, you have to eat them all.
Yeah.
And then what were the other rules? Because I've forgotten. The second rule was I think the second rule is like basically do not dump me, try and get rid of me.
You have to eat them all if Oh God! I finished this last night. We both finished this last night. Hang on, Phil time.
So yeah, the first rule is that there's candy in this advent calendar, and if you eat one, you have to eat them all. So you can't skip any. You can't decide that you don't want it, or everything is ended with, or I'll come and kill you.
Eat all the candy in the calendar or you'll die. Follow all of the calendar's instructions or you'll die. Don't throw away the calendar or you'll die.
Or you'll die. Yeah.
Basically, it's a cursed calendar. It's a cursed item. There we go.
So you're sort of... I mean, it's not... I guess by opening that first door, you've started the process, or could you just stop at that point and go, that's it?
No, because you have to keep going.
You have to keep going.
Yeah.
So she opens the first door. She opens the second door. The second door has one of her dad's favourite chocolates in, which turns out to be...
Ooh, I love the after eight. Love an after eight. Love an after eight.
Which is some really blatant product placement.
Oh God, yeah.
Of kind of a is it Terry's that does after eights?
I'm not sure, but they must be on hard times. I've never seen an after eight placement before.
No, and also this is a French film, and I was very sure that after eights were like a very British thing. But
yeah, that's what I assumed anyway.
I mean, not that they can't be exported anywhere else, but it was a very odd thing to see after 8 minutes. I was like, okay. Although kind of fitting, because you only ever really see after eights at Christmas. Nobody buys them during the year.
So we're saying that's the most Christmassy thing in this film.
It quite possibly is. It quite possibly is. So it's an after eight. It's an after eights mint, which turns out that was her dad's favourite thing, and her dad has Alzheimer's.
Yes.
And there's an interaction earlier on where she phones her dad. It's his birthday, and the evil stepmother is basically like, "No, you know, there's no point. You don't know who you are. Go away. I've got things to get on with." And obviously, it's quite upsetting. So when she eats this after 8 mint, suddenly the phone rings, and it's her dad saying, wishing her a happy birthday, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's her father wishing her a happy birthday. So that's the first inkling that it's like, oh, there's something sort of weird and magical happening here. Because it also transpires that the phone is disconnected, I think, as well.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a. I think when she's telling Sophie about what happened, or maybe maybe William, she's telling another character about everything that's happened. I think she specifically says, "Oh, the second one was one of my dad's favorite chocolates, and I got a phone call through a disconnected phone."
It's also really high up. Like she lives in a ground floor flat, and obviously everything is brought down to her level because she's in a wheelchair. But the phone is still really high up. Could one of her friends not help to just position it down?
I suppose if it's disconnected, I don't suppose it really matters.
I don't think it matters, no.
So yeah, she gets the first couple of doors open straight away, and it's also sort of automated. Is this thing? So at the stroke of midnight, there's like a little pop up of
it.
I thought it was I guess it's the demon. But I was thinking it looks like a priest.
It's in like priest garb. It's got like the black robe with like a chain of a cross on it as well. But the face is very reminiscent of what we end up seeing. Of
we get a few
demon.
glimpses of this demon sort of like waking up within the advent calendar.
I like that.
Doors.
I actually quite like that imagery that you see when she first starts to open the door. It then cuts to like this very purple, fuzzy, blurry looking. From shoulder up imagery of this demon with this mask on sort of waking up, and I really like that because it's like we've said before, you don't see it all. We're just sort of seeing a glimpse of what the hell is this thing. We don't know where it is it inside the box as like a spirit or and then later on it's like boom, there it is, this thing, it's just there. But I quite like that imagery, so I'll give it that plus. I'll give it that positive. Yeah. Okay. I just want to say back to just talking about the box itself, the advent calendar. Yeah. The design is really, I do like the design. It's just not really fit for a horror film. I don't feel like it's not been designed well for a horror film. As an antique looking box, like it's really cool. I like all the little locks, everything about it, all the different size doors. I really like that.
Yeah.
But
it is a nice.
It needs to be wrapped in barbed wire or something like that.
I mean, we don't get, which is maybe a good thing. There's nothing to say like where it came from. It was bought from. It was bought from the Christmas market, but it's not like they go back to the Christmas market and it's mysteriously disappeared, or there's nothing like that. It's just
that's Homer with the monkey paw.
Yeah,
I bought it from over there. Oh, I know he's over there. You'll be
which
sorry.
you usually get in these sort of things. It's like, the mysterious curiosity shop has disappeared. Like, oh, that place has been abandoned for decades.
It's cursed.
The frozen yogurt.
That's good. That's bad.
So once we get this sort of set up and the explanation of the rules and the sort of like light clockwork at the stroke of midnight, the thing comes to life and starts demanding the doors opened. We get basically just the progression through each of the doors. It is like a sort of it doesn't feel like there's much connectivity between things. It is like right, door number 4 and day number 4 and this happens, and then it does feel. I mean, there is obviously the same characters, and she meets a man earlier on, and he's sort of in it for a chunk, but it does feel like kind of disparate things.
Yeah, I didn't get why these things were happening. That was the point. I understood the rules at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's now entwined with this box, this calendar. She has to open every day and eat every sweet. Yeah. Some sweets affect her. Okay, I got that. It's because it's a cursed box, so it's going to affect her. It's latched onto her. Fine. But I don't get why sometimes she has to sacrifice people. Sometimes it affects. I didn't understand why.
It all sort of makes sense at the end. It's one of these. It all sort of makes sense at the end. In the last 5-10 minutes, it's all explained. And essentially, it's. Although it first appears to be that sort of monkey's paw, be careful what you wish for, it's not exactly, because it's more like a test. If you persist,
Yeah.
and stay with it and open every door and accept every sort of challenge that comes your way. And essentially, by going through every door, you're responsible for deaths. Some of them you have to physically kill people yourself. Others, it's like by consuming the sweet and something happening, you've effectively caused a death. And if you stick with it and make all those sacrifices, then you get a reward at the end. And for her reward is to have the use of her legs back.
Yeah.
But we don't actually find out if she gets it really at the end. It's left a little bit ambiguous. But yeah, so the horror, I guess, is supposed to come from these deaths that occur periodically, but they don't. It's just not presented very well. It's not. I mean, I don't know.
It's not delivered very well. It's not executed very well.
No.
You sort of, because of how many there are, you sort of don't care about what's just happened. You move on to the next door. You move on to the next one.
Yeah. So the first one is she goes out on a double date with her friend Sophie and two guys, Boris and I didn't catch the other guy's name.
Rapist.
Boris is the rapist.
Yes.
And the other one. So they have this meal in a very red restaurant. Everything in that restaurant is just red. The walls are red, the tables are red, the lighting's red, everything is red. So this Boris character is established as being a bit of a arsehole right from the get-go.
No, I won't have that.
he makes some offensive comment about her being in a wheelchair. We find out that he's on cocaine and dabbling in the stock market, and he's just set up to be sort of your stereotypical.
Oh yeah, absolutely stereotypical
douchebag.
Yeah.
He gives her a ride home. Her friend Sophie goes off with the other guy for a drink on their own somewhere, and Boris gives Eva a ride home. During the car ride, she falls asleep, and he basically assaults her.
Yeah, he tries it on with her.
Tries it on, she fights him off, and essentially dumps her in a chair literally in the street, and drives away. While this is occurring, is it the third door or the fourth door? I think it's the third door on the advent calendar is open.
I wrote it down. I think I wrote a few doors down because I got to a point where I wasn't taking notes on every single door because it was too much. But this is the first main one. It's the third, I believe. It's on December 3rd.
Oh no, the 5th.
Is it the 5th? Okay.
It's the 5th. Yeah, sorry, I've got it in my.
Either way, people, that's not crucial. That's not important.
No. It just for just where you are along. The but anyway, a door of the advent calendar opens, and a little model of Boris's car drives out, and Eva has a dog. Marvin, I think he's called.
Marvin, yep.
Marvin, the dog, sort of picks up the little toy car and chews it up. And while he's sort of chomping and chewing on this car, it's cutting back and forth between real Boris in his car, who's parked up to abuse himself.
Abuse himself?
Is committing an act of self-pollution.
Either way, this guy is horny as hell.
And suddenly his window cracks, and it's sort of in conjunction with Marvin chomping down on this toy car, his real life car starts to get smashed and crushed.
Kind of voodoo doll-esque.
Yeah, exactly like a sort of what we think of as voodoo dolls.
Yeah.
And it results in the car being crushed and Boris along with it. And she and Eva, she doesn't find out about it straight away, I don't think. Oh, no, she gets a message from him, doesn't she, saying that he's sorry and he sent her some money, and it all ends up going into that
very specific amount of money.
Trading app.
Yeah, nothing really.
Which nothing happens with.
Nothing comes with this stock trading app. She makes some money off it, but nothing. It's built up to be quite an important thing in a way, but it just tails off. Really,
I think it's just another way by. it's sort of like, right, okay, this man has died, but as a result of it, you're now trading on this. You're now getting something out of it. You're now getting some money. So it's like the conscious thing. It's like if you can be comfortable being essentially responsible. Well, you're not really responsible for his death, but it's sort of like it's your advent calendar, and he's died because of it. But now you're making money off it, and it's like a little bit of a moral test. The whole thing is sort of like that sort of morality test. You'll get rewards if you do horrible things.
I got a little bit of Wishmaster.
A little bit.
A concept from this. But yeah, you want, if you want this, you've got to do something bad for it.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by the same token, well, I suppose Boris is a horrible,
he is a very bad person. He deserves
horrible person.
Yeah.
Who deserves it. So it's like, well, screw that guy. Moving on. But yeah, nothing. I mean, I think by the end she's got like, she's earning like thousands and thousands of euros. But nothing actually comes of that. She's just sort of like, oh, okay, whatever.
So that was the fifth day, right? Because I haven't noticed that was the sixth one. That I was really. This is where my questions started to come in.
Okay, go for it. You take it. That was the fifth. Yeah, door 6.
Am I right in saying the sixth day is where she gets a heart?
That's the little love heart.
Yeah. So this is where she's out for a walk at a park, and is just chilling on a park bench and sees a guy run past, sits down, and she takes a fancy to him.
Yeah.
Ends up finding him again in the park. Might be the next day, because the sweet she gets from the sixth day, she doesn't eat. She saves it.
Yeah.
And even now she's starting to cotton on to how the advent calendar works. And sees it as a heart and thinks, I wonder if 2 and 2 go together. This guy I like, will this work? She finds him in a park cafe, sees that he orders a mulled wine, asks the waitress for the same. The waitress comes over to her table with the drinks.
I mean, it does hinge on the fact that both drinks end up on her table periodically. Yeah.
The waitress comes back over to her table with both drinks and is basically like, oh, what's that on the floor? While she basically roofies his drink.
Roofies him.
with this heart. But now this is where I got really confused, because I thought she had to eat all the chocolates.
This is one of the issues with it as well, because there's another one later on that she doesn't actually.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a couple she doesn't personally eat. She feeds them to other people, and that's apparently fine.
Now that, to me, it's fine if the story makes sense that, okay, she can do that, but it wasn't explained enough that she could do that, and I'm left questioning the rest of the film when this happens again and again.
That's it, because I think the rule specifically states, like, if you eat one, you must eat them all, and it doesn't actually say, but as long as somebody eats them, it's fine.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, is taking a pretty big risk early on by assuming that's fine. So yeah, she roofies the guy, William. He turns out to be. He's a nurse. And do you remember what he says to her?
Well, this is literally after he's been roofied, quote unquote, and the chocolate has done its power.
He comes over and asks if he can take a seat.
Take a seat, but I can't remember exactly word for word. Do you have it written down?
I have it written. Well, I've got vaguely what. Basically, he introduces himself as William.
What does he say?
He says he's a nurse, so he could wash her private parts.
There we go. And then he questions what he's just said.
And then, exactly.
And then it's fine. And then it's fine.
It's absolutely fine.
Absolutely fine. Oh, what did I just say? Oh, never mind.
Never mind. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. You're my boyfriend now. So she's I guess because she knows that she's roofied him. So,
but she doesn't know that he would say that.
Well, no, but I mean, she wants to entice. She was hoping that'd entice him over and then strike up a conversation. So I guess she's kind of gone, well, it's not the most charming of lines, but I suppose I'll accept it, because ultimately I do want him to wash my private parts.
Well, I should love that, yeah.
I suppose it's fine. My notes say he comes over to introduce himself. He says he can wash her private parts, ... she is not put off by this.
No, not one bit. Yeah, the film. Using this as an example, the film moves very fast.
Well, it certainly moves fast on the next door, which is
well. There we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The clock door, but I mean, I don't. As we again, the reason for this. So the next door, the suite is a clock which speeds up time for 4 days.
Yeah.
But as we just said about how we need to do something bad to get something good out of it, there's nothing really good that would come out of this, because she's already having a shit time at work with her comical looking boss, who even has a picture of himself behind his desk.
Does he?
Yeah, kind of like Denham from IT Crowd.
Denham from IT Crowd.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's kind of a good description for him as well. He's like a sleazy,
he's really comical,
dirtier Denham.
And I feel like she works at an insurance company, and he doesn't give a shit that she's paraplegic. He basically thinks he's the bigger person here, doing her a favor rather than
Well, he complains, doesn't he, that she employing her has cost him money because he's had to install the toilet, a toilet, and presumably ramps and rails and that sort of thing. To which she says, like, well, you get a grant for that, and he's like it wasn't it's not worth it. He's essentially awful. Yeah. I know what you mean though, because she eats the little clock shaped candy, and then the next picks up a phone to reveal there's like 15 missed calls and 12 messages, and there are suddenly 4 more open doors and 4 more chocolate wrappers, and it's like time's just skip forward, which made me think, like, they've realized, the filmmakers realized that, crap, we need to...
Got any ideas?
We've not got any ideas. We've got 24 doors, but only 20 ideas, so we need to just skip a few. I know, one of them speeds up time. But yeah, the next thing, the outcome of that is that she loses her job, essentially. She gets fired.
Yeah. Which again, made me question, how are these rules working?
But then the next door is her boss's death, isn't it? The next door results in her boss's death. So it's almost like the calendar has engineered for her to be fired, and then engineers the punishment for the person that's fired her. It is weird. It's a dog that kills him. Yeah. So Marvin has a little bone. Chocolate bone appears for Marvin when he runs off and comes back covered in blood.
But again, the door opens, and the bone is the chocolate. Is the treat inside? Because the dog eats it.
So that's intended for the dog, not for the person.
But she was meant to eat all of them, right?
Not for her, but that's
this is where we're going. This is the problem. If you set rules, you got to follow them through.
Yeah, it sets rules and then pretty much instantly abandons them. So yeah, Marvin the dog runs off and comes back covered in blood, with the boss's little medallion sort of caught in his teeth. Yeah, I don't think we never actually see him being chewed up.
No, that would cost money, Aiden. Also, again, at this point she has saved a chocolate. She's put one aside. Did she not have to eat them in order?
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. She saved the one. It's the little baby Jesus chocolate, isn't it? Yeah. With the quote saying the quote about the lame shall walk, or get up and walk, or whatever it is. And she puts that to one side. I took it that she's scared to eat that one, because I think she realizes that eating these chocolates is having an effect, and there's usually a clue.
Yeah, maybe she's cottoned on to what's going. I mean, she cottoned on very quickly in a way. If the fact that with the heart one, which we said was day 6, I believe. And she'd already started day 3, so we're looking at 3 days in, and she's already like, I think I know what's going on.
Is accepting of it, and So I think she's like, oh, this makes me think that it might make me walk. I'm a little bit scared in case it doesn't work. So she puts it to one side. Yeah. So again, well, I suppose the rules don't specify they need to be eaten in any specific order.
Did they not?
But I don't think so. I'd argue that it's implied by the very
Yeah.
nature of how an advent calendar works that you should eat them in order, but it doesn't say that. And actually, the whole ending is hinged on the fact of whether you eat the chocolate or not.
And do the powers occur once the chocolate has been eaten, or is it once the doors are open?
I think it's when it's eaten.
So what if you opened every single door every day, and then a bundle of all the chocolates in one go at the end? What would the world just end?
Well, you can't open them ahead of time because she tries that. I think doesn't she?
No, you can't.
But like you say, you could open all the doors and then save all the chocolates and eat them all at once. But yeah, I don't know, because there's another little weird thing at this point as well that she is it at this point where she invests money in the chocolate company.
Yes, the 4 wrappers of the chocolates that were magically opened in front of her, the days that were skipped, the wrappers end up making the logo. When you put together in the square, they end up making the logo of the company, and she finds it on the stock trading app and just instantly thinks, oh, that'll do. Oh, maybe I should invest in that. And then she starts getting returns on it.
Yeah,
but again, it doesn't really go anywhere.
But it doesn't go anywhere. But I was thinking like, oh, she's got sort of like a maker's mark or a brand now, and it's like, that's she'd ultimately be like trying to hunt that down to end the curse. But the film just doesn't. That's not what happens.
Well, she does hunt something or someone down, but again, that I didn't really understand either. But we'll get into that in a moment. I know we've just stopped for 2 minutes, but I genuinely cannot remember where we were.
So we're talking about saving the chocolate.
I thought you were just going to say we're talking about the film Advent Calendar.
We're talking about the film the calendar. So yeah, well, we talk about saving the chocolate. Well, I think this again. It's like this sort of. She can just make a prediction of what needs to be done with the process because she then eats. She gets another Jesus chocolate, and eating both of them results in her sort of walking out of, like, she starts convulsing, and then she wakes up outside her apartment, or she wakes up in hospital, and it transpires that she was found outside of her apartment, so she has a flashback of walking out of there. So it's almost like she sort of went, oh, right, okay, there's the first Jesus chocolate, I'll wait till I get there with a note about making the people walk. I'll wait till I get the second one, and then it's like, what, one for each leg, I guess. And she just, when she gets the second one, that's when she goes, right, now's the time to eat these.
It's clearly the sweets are clearly not in there to begin with. There must be some sort of magical power that's knows about her and is. I say it's latched onto her, so it's dictating every day towards her. The legs and the after eight, especially with the after eight, there wasn't enough. What the fuck is that doing in there? How did you know? Did you do that? There should have been a lot more superstition. Like, what are you doing? That's really cruel. Why did you put that in there? And she said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Blindly accepts that this is how it is. Yeah, it's a strange one. And the next one we get is the black Eucharist that she gives. The coin? I took it as to be. It kind of looked like a coin, but I took it as like the body of Christ. You know, it looked like a little communion wafer.
Yes, well, you got the little round wafer and the wine you were drinking. Yeah.
Oh, when she opens it up and the door's got a skull on it, and her roommate in the hospital is like a mentally disturbed. Oh, wow. She's very possessed.
I thought that.
She looks like every sort of possessed person in any possession movie you've ever seen. Yeah, sort of like ill-looking, pale, and she gives her this one. I think she says something about wanting to be at peace or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
So it's saying, and it's heavily implied that essentially this is just going to kill her. This is just going to kill this woman.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, yeah, skipping away from that rule that. Well, again, I suppose it's a morality test, but it feels like a fairly easy. Well, not fairly easy, but an easier one. I mean, it's not. She's not. She's clearly suffering. Is this person? So it's like an assisted suicide kind of a thing, which is admittedly probably not something that everybody could go through with.
Yeah, I get that.
But it's not like murder this child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't know. I guess it's building up to it. I guess it's sort of a steady scale. I don't know.
It felt very shoehorned in, that one. It felt very shoehorned. It's again another one that our main character Eva did not eat herself. So does she not have to eat any of the others herself because she just gives them to other people?
I mean, she just knows. Again, the next one is
she just knows. That's it. She just knows.
Is another. Yeah, the next one, 14, is one for a dad. She gives it to her dad.
Yes.
She goes in to visit him in person and gives it to him, and he suddenly becomes very articulate and basically tells her that this people will have to die in sacrifice to the calendar, and to be careful and to stop doing, to think about it carefully. And it's like we get a better explanation halfway through the movie of what's going on via the chocolate and the calendar.
It kind of reminded me. I didn't want to laugh at this point, but when he got out of his chair, there's just a clip from. I'm going way off base here. There's a clip from Only Fools and Horses with Uncle Albert, where he's meant to be portraying himself as like a cripple.
Is it the Peckham? A cripple. Is it the Peckham spring water one or something?
Yeah. He drinks it and it's like, oh, I feel all alive, and starts doing the dance. Yeah. It kind of made me think of that. Like, oh, I can remember everything now. The Alzheimer's is gone. Oh, again. That
we get this. We get this explanation that the calendar is going to demand like great sacrifices, and are you going to be able to do it? You should. You can't. But you're in too deep now. You can't walk away, otherwise you will die. And in a sort of similar realization, William chucks it in a river. He throws it in a river.
Does he get her keys from because he's the doctor at the hospital? Does he find her keys, her house keys?
I think it was at the hospital with her.
Yeah.
Because they said when they picked her up, she was like clutching it tightly, and they just brought it along with her. So it's in the hospital. But I must admit, I don't know whether I was busy taking notes or I just sort of lost focus for a minute. But suddenly he was throwing it into a river, and I didn't.
I lost focus a lot in this film. I did lose focus because it felt everywhere. It really didn't. You could probably get some horror films where you've got start and finish, but it's kind of like a tree. You could veer off here, veer off there a bit, but you always got that final. This felt zigzaggy and a mess until we got to the final.
We were getting stuck because we were getting like flashbacks as well, and
and
it did jump around a lot, and it was kind of difficult at times to work out just where we were.
Well, in this point of when the
calendar.
Yeah, at this point when the calendar's been chucked in the water is where we get ick arising, rising into the real world, and it's the design is it's okay. It's like feels very Silent Hill-esque.
I was gonna say it reminded me a lot of Pyramid Head from Silent Hill, obviously without the pyramid head.
Yeah,
that same sort of like gait and skinny and wiry.
But what would have normally happened, I feel like, in a film like this, you're very standard. I guess let's say towards the end of the second act, preparing for the finale third act, is you get the exposition of what the demon is, where it's from, and how do we stop it. And you don't really get that.
No, I don't get that at all.
It's just
no.
he's just there. He's just part of this calendar that needs to be. Its process needs to be complete.
Yeah, and it's and it's. Don't I mean the phrase, the inscription on it, the rule stated, "Don't dump me, or I'll, don't get rid of me, or I'll kill you." So William throws it in the river. So the demon comes out and tries to kill him.
Yeah.
But there's no. I mean, arguably, it's not Eva's fault. She didn't dump it physically, but she is the owner of the calendar.
Yeah.
And later on, she uses this same. This loophole basically to kill the stepmother. She sends the stepmother the calendar, knowing the stepmother will get rid of it, and the demon kills her. And it's like, well, again, how did you know that like somebody dumped it, but me as the owner is the one that's going to be punished?
This type of film. No, I don't mean story or context or anything. Just this film in general and how we've felt about it and how it's come across are kind of the worst ones to really try and review, because it's left most of the time we're left with a lot of confusion and kind of I just didn't really get parts of it. I didn't find it neither good or bad. It's just kind of middle ground and like whereas the films we mentioned very early on about the coffin, the Raven-sized coffin that we want to pick, because I feel like we can have a bit of fun with them. We're not to be taken seriously. We can have a bit of fun, or when we do real big hitters and we're so involved and invested in them, and we want to talk about backgrounds of these films, there's a lot of that missing with this film.
Yeah.
I feel like everything we've talked about kind of blends into that, where there's something missing in this film. We don't know the rules. We don't really understand why she's doing what she's doing, why the demon's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, we never get an explanation. You never get that.
But I feel like it wants to be a good film. It looks well. It's shot well. The acting's is okay.
Yeah.
But it's not there.
Yeah, like I don't think the story is strong enough.
It's not. No.
For the length of the film.
No.
And it's not overly long. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty standard.
So yeah, it's not an overly long film, but it feels a lot longer. It's very slow. Although we take it sort of day by day with the calendar and working through. But then there are just scenes that feel overly long, and nothing's really happening. She's her and William are sat in bed, sort of post coitus, chatting, and it's not really adding anything. There's another scene where she's like, she's feeding the dog and sat having her own breakfast, and it just. And I wondered if it was maybe because this is a French film. I wondered if maybe that was a style of. I can't say I'm overly familiar with French cinema generally. Whether there were things like that where that's just French cinema. You know what I mean? These sort of like lingering shots of people just being in a moment. I'm
not overly familiar with the French cinema myself. I mean, the most I could probably say is the early 2000s French extremist films of Martyrs, High Tension, Frontiers, and Inside. Now they all go. Those films go. The only other favourite French film I would always recommend to people is La Haine, but it's a very different style of film. But I'm not overly familiar with. Maybe that is a reason. Maybe we don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
Maybe. But yeah, it feels like there are just scenes where nothing's happening and it's just lingering shots of just people doing very mundane things. But yeah, it doesn't feel there's not really enough sort of like meat of the story. Like I said, it feels like a Creepshow vignette stretched out.
There's very little meat on this film.
So we get William dragged into the water, and at the same time Eva has a vision that he's underwater, and then suddenly she's transported back to her house. I think there's when the strong supernatural element kicks in, is when things really start to become more difficult to follow because she's being teleported around the place. The demons just sort of randomly popping up at intervals. She ends up in the advent calendar. at one point, writing a message on a mirror.
Yeah.
Which, weirdly, is... So, at the moment, William sees the advent calendar, decides it's evil, and takes it to throw it in the river. He sees a message being sort of scratched, a backwards message being scratched on this sort of window. And then, later on... It's when she opens door 17, Eva ends up inside the mirror, inside the calendar, writing that message on the mirror. So it's a day after, but the effect is the day before.
I got so confused at this point. I think
strange.
This was the point where I was close to tapping out, and I was getting to a point of frustration that I was getting confused, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I was really hoping it wasn't just me, that I wasn't paying attention enough, but I think it was getting to the point of this film is not listening to itself now anymore. This film is doing what it wants to do.
And again, it does feel like a bit of a drag. I mean, I'm just talking about it. It's like we're on day 17 now. There's still like 7 more days to go.
It's a bit of a drag. It's a bit of a drag. I mean, for the rest of the film, obviously, the premise keeps happening. She opens doors, the sweets keep happening, but
I think the violence ramps up over the next few doors.
Yeah, for the final act, especially. Well, I think there's one sweet we can definitely talk about is the blue Viagra sort of looking one that her friend Sophie takes.
Yes,
and lies to Eva, saying that the sweet was this chewing gum. And she takes it, and it's like wondering why it has no effect. Why doesn't it have any effect?
Well, actually, just before that, she's like really quite distressed that Sophie's taken this chewing gum, and she's like, "Give it to me! I need to have it."
Yeah,
and it's like, well, hang on a minute. How come you suddenly need to have the chewing gum, but you weren't bothered about any of the other chocolates?
Yes.
That you've not personally eaten.
You have to eat them all, don't you? Like, what? What's going on here?
And I think she sort of says that. She's like, I have to have it. I have to have it. It's like, well, there's some that you haven't had to have yourself. But they both take the chewing gum, and nothing seems to be happening. And then she has a flashback to the accident that resulted in a paralysis. And
which
transpires.
Was with Sophie.
It was Sophie. Sophie was driving and was distracted, and they hit a truck. And seemingly Eva's the only one that suffered any
she got it bad.
lasting injuries from the accident. Which I think it was fairly clear that it was Sophie that had been responsible from the beginning. There'd been a couple of references to how she didn't want to talk about it and et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't come as a shock, that bit. It's just confirmation of something that I feel the audience would know anyway. If you're paying any attention to it,
you kind of assume.
It's pretty obvious. But yeah, as well as the chewing gum, she pockets a little secret advent Viagra.
Which they end up. Oh my god! I just realised they end up at a cabin.
So they end up at the hunting cabin. So this is Boris's
cabin,
mate from the double date at the beginning. He mentions that he's a hunter and that he has a cabin. And prior to this, Sophie has killed Marvin. She's killed a dog. Eva has killed Marvin the dog.
Yeah.
So obviously, sort of fear for her sanity, I guess, for her mental well-being. They sort of come with us. We're going to stay in the cabin, and that's how they all end up in the cabin. And Sophie gives her fella. I can't remember his name. I think it's Antoine.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
But I'm looking at the IMDb list, and there's a few male character names who I can't actually picture. Antoine might be the swimmer person. Anyway, so she slips her boyfriend this haunted Viagra and essentially gets shagged to death, I think, for want of a better.
Well, you're missing the point of this pill. Because,
am I? Sorry.
Because as much as we've alluded to the fact that Eva suddenly knows how this calendar works and how these chocolates work, so does Sophie, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, Eva may have told her because she tells William, and William tries to understand and help her along, but Sophie's instantly sees this one sweet that looks like a Viagra blue pill, little diamond, and thinks, "Huh, yeah, this'll be good. This will be good." And instantly says, "This will give you a super erection."
Yeah.
Super erection. Little does she know, it's the upgrade to this erection. The points in the skill tree of the erection went way overboard, and yeah, she got shagged to death pretty much.
She gets the pounding of her life.
Pounding of her life. Well,
literally.
and also the thing with this is when this happens. So Eva's in the other room, and you hear the commotion in the room where Sophie and boy are.
Yeah.
She gets flung through the door, covered in blood, and fella is standing there like a sort of 28 days later, rabid.
Yeah, he's
big
all sort of
red eyes, and you're at that point. I thought, okay, this makes sense. And the curse is onto him, or whatever curse it is, and his Johnson is like 10 foot long, and he's just destroyed her.
angry.
And it'll come down to him, but it's not. Our demon is then suddenly there behind him and breaks his neck.
Yeah.
So what's the correlation here? Why is the demon? I
don't know. Is it? I can't. I mean, maybe this is me not remembering or not paying attention to the scene. Is the reason why? I think the reason Sophie was distracted while she was driving because she was texting a guy she was gonna hook up with. So I wonder if it's sort of like a punishment for that. I mean, ultimately, I think it's a punishment for her friend.
Yeah.
For Sophie, and it's the guy's just caught in the crossfire kind of thing. But the exact reason for why a friend is getting punished can only be the fact that she's responsible for the accident.
Because she wasn't. She took the sweet. Okay, the other ones Ava has given or gone out of her way to force someone to like the what we call the roofie, the heart one.
Yeah,
he didn't know he was taking it, but she was the one. She was the catalyst to giving it to. Whereas she didn't give Sophie this one; she took it. So maybe she was cursed by that. She. It's all
just all very convenient, and I think it's one of those wizard did it moments. It's like it's magic. It's magic. Don't look at it too closely. It's magic.
Fine. Just nod along, consume product. It's fine.
It was conceived that Sophie was going to open that door and steal that pill because that's what was going to happen. It was foretold.
Yeah.
Don't look at it too closely. Don't question it. Yeah. While this is happening as well, Eva has found a painting canvas. Sort of stuffed into the thing. This leads her to go and essentially hunt down an artist who turns out to be a blind man. The painting, and he claims he can't have painted that. The date on it was like a year previous, and he can't have possibly painted it because he's been blind for 5 years.
Yeah.
And the painting depicts him, his sort of murdered family. It's like a painting of his wife and son being killed. He has a little flashback to murdering his family, who also then appear as being perfectly alive and well. And essentially we're told that he owned this advent calendar previously. He'd gone through the trial of all the doors, presumably to cure his blindness. But something happened and it finished. It didn't. It wasn't a permanent thing.
Well, yeah. There's the quick visions that he killed. I mean, the painting is of 2 dead bodies.
Yeah,
and it ends up being revealed that it's his wife and son who
we
are
get
alive.
Some flashbacks, yeah.
But are alive.
It's explained at the end, like how they're still alive, and but yeah, I suppose at that moment it's just like, oh, okay, so this is like it's Jumanji, now it's the board game that different people get through time, and this advent calendar can be passed on.
It's just another thing added in that just comes out of nowhere, really.
I mean, talking about another thing added in, the next door is the little doll of the nasty co-worker who.
Oh God, yes.
Voodoo doll.
Yes.
She pulls the hair and the nails off it, and she just dies in a bath.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's just like, we need
fill
another door.
Yeah.
We need to fill another door because that's literally just all it is. Just she voodoo dolls to death the nasty co-worker. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have more notes than me, but I generally don't have much more to. Well, I think talk about the film. I have some positives I do want to talk about, but as far as the rest of the film, I don't have that much more because I think I was kind of done. I obviously finished it, but I was kind of done because it was just a mess.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we could just wrap up the end now. So basically, she records a message on her phone to the next person that's going to get the advent calendar to say, it's a test. You've just got to follow it through, and then you'll get your heart's desire.
Yeah.
She shoots her dad. And one of the doors is there's a gun in it. She goes off, shoots her dad. As she opens the last door, there's this nice, like, pretty little sort of toffee there. At which point, her new boyfriend, because it's not William anymore, it's the guy she meets at the swimming pool. Her new boyfriend runs in and just sort of says, "Stop! Don't eat it! You've opened all the doors now. There's a loophole in the rules." He properly, a real actually moment.
Yeah,
he's like,
he knows.
If you don't eat it, you get to keep your legs. So this is where we get this sort of final explanation, and we work out what happened with the artist chap. Is if you eat that final sweet, it undoes everything. You go back, everything stays the same. Everybody that's been killed comes back to life, but you lose the gift. If you don't eat the sweet, and the loophole says you don't have to eat the last one, because it specifies until the last door is open, you must eat them until the last door is opened, or something like that. So this little loophole means if you don't eat that last sweet, you get to keep your gift, but obviously everybody that's died along the way, all the sacrifices remain as sacrifices. And that's it. That's the end of the film, essentially. Apart from a little clip of a man with a crying child. He's got a head wound of some kind. Yeah, a little head wound. Frantically holding a mobile phone that's playing Eva's message, frantically knocking on the door. The door opens and he goes inside, and that's it. So
like
we never find out. Yeah, it's been passed on. He's the next person that's going through it. But it's not. We don't know. We never find out if she undid everything by eating the sweet and stayed in a wheelchair, or whether she kept her newfound ability to walk, and her dad, previous boyfriend. I mean, everybody that died, the dog, a rapist. I mean, the evil stepmother, all remain dead. A friend and her lover. So yeah, that's the end.
I was confused at the end. I think I ended it confused.
It did take a little bit of working out. And it was all right. It was okay. The premise was different and interesting enough to keep me engaged with it. There were quite a few moments where I was just like, I get it. Just hurry it along. We've got another 8-9 doors to do. Just rattle it on. I was hoping for another time skipping one.
Well, that's the thing. Like we said about the time of the film wasn't too bad, an hour 40, but it felt
felt longer. Definitely
because of how much you knew had to come with the rest of the film.
And that's the thing. And I think by sort of door 15, you've definitely got a handle on what's going on. And how it works, regardless of the vague interpretation and convenient forgetting of the rules or whatever. You as a viewer, you know what's happening, but it is like, but there's still like 9 more doors to go. So can we just speed things? I know what's going on now.
You could have done a bit of a black comedy sort of montage of say 5 doors where cuts to opening one, you see what it is, make the chocolate, really obvious to the audience what's good she's got to do, and then it quickly cuts to whatever she's got to do. Back to the next suite. 10 minutes of
or even a
5 or 7
conversation. Yeah, even a conversation with somebody sort of saying like, oh, in the last like 4 days, this, that, and the other has all happened, and maybe with a couple of quick crash cuts showing.
Yeah.
If you want to chuck a bit more horror and blood in there or whatever, you could have had a couple of quick crash cuts to scenes of things happening. Yeah, it did just need condensing a little bit.
Let's just get it going. Let's go. Come on.
Especially as it was kind of light on a lot of the sort of scare. I mean, there weren't even any sort of cop out, fake out jump scares or anything. It's very, really light on the horror. It's not
scary at all.
It's not scary. It's not overly gory.
It's not creepy.
It's just, it just kind of happens.
Yeah. But that's why I said it's not bad, but it's not great. It's
not bad. It's not great. I think its greatest asset is that it's something quite different.
Agreed.
In terms of being a Christmas, arguably a Christmas-related horror film about a haunted advent calendar.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. That's a new thing. The premise was interesting enough to see how it transpired. It perhaps could have been done a little bit better, but the idea was interesting. The execution needed a little bit of work.
Did you, by chance, pick up on, this is one of the kind of positives, the audio mixing on this film was so pristine. Like, everything was so damn crisp and clear. You could hear the little locks on the doors, the open, everything was so crisp on the audio mixing. It felt like an ASMR at times. Like, it was quite satisfying for a lot of the sound effects.
Yeah.
But everything was so... Even putting the chocolate in her mouth, just the crunch, everything was so pristine. And I know it's such a little thing. It's got nothing to do with the film itself, whether the film's good or bad, the story or context of the film. But I found that quite satisfying, and I could not care less about ASMR. It was just a little thing I picked up on. I also picked up on, God being in a wheelchair sucks.
Yeah.
But
I mean, everybody's horrible to her. Like, really horrible.
Really horrible. Do you think this would be different if she wasn't in the wheelchair? I was trying to think, like, was her character created to be paraplegic in the wheelchair just to give it give her character a bit of difference?
Well, she needed something to gain from the calendar.
Yeah.
So she was a dancer, although it wasn't made a big enough deal of, I think. Now, I'm sure if anybody had an accident and that resulted in loss of their ability to walk, they'd really want to get that ability back. But I think the sort of extra angle, the extra element to it was that she'd been a dancer.
Yep.
Although the scene where she does dance at the end, I kind of thought they could have perhaps cast somebody that was better at dancing.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because she'd supposedly been a trained ballet dancer for sort of 6 years, but the little demonstration we got at the end was do your best impression of a ballet dancer sort of moves. It wasn't anything.
It wasn't great.
Not that I'm Fred Astaire or anything. But,
what?
So yeah, there was maybe an extra element there, but arguably it didn't need that because anybody that was in an accident that resulted with them being in a wheelchair, I'm sure would go through the motions to get a chance to walk again.
Yeah.
But it needed to be something. It needed something, and I think they did I say a good job. I don't know if they did do a good job because not only is that sort of bad enough for somebody to have to go through that and end up that way, then they make every character she meets horrible to her for the fact that she is also in a wheelchair. Like, it's really sort of hammering it home, which felt a little bit too much.
I mean, my main thing was that I was thinking throughout the film, if this doesn't become a key feature in a way towards something impactful happening in the rest of the film, does it just feel like they added this characteristic to her just to spice the film up a bit, make her stand out more, rather if she wasn't a paraplegic, she was just walking past dancer Eva? Did the wheelchair really add much else to it?
Well, in that, I think it's necessary. It's a big enough thing for her want to go through. Like, I mean, it could have. She could have not been in a wheelchair and had a terminal illness, maybe.
Yeah,
There needed to be something.
Yeah,
there needed to be something that would encourage her to go through the ritual with the advent calendar, I suppose. It couldn't just be that she was skint and needed money and it was a wealth and fortune thing. I think it needed to be something a little bit more.
Because the rapist alone, like, yeah, obviously she can't feel beneath her waist, so she couldn't feel whatever he was trying to do to her, but she was asleep. But you could still have gone down that route if you wanted to, that she was asleep and he was trying to have his way with her, and she woke up to it, and then he just kicked her out. It's like, oh, you're not enjoying, you're not getting on board with this. So you still could have done that if she wasn't in the wheelchair, but yeah.
I don't know. I think I don't have an issue with it.
No, I do have an issue with it. Yeah.
No, I'm not suggesting that you do. But I mean, it had to be. I think it's a suitable. I think it was a suitable thing. It was a good enough thing. It was like, she'd been in this accident. It wasn't her fault as well. It wasn't her fault. She was unfortunately in an accident. It resulted in her needing a wheelchair. And I think that's a big enough incentive. Like I say, she could have been able to walk but had a terminal illness, or it could have been a dead relative that she wanted to see again, or something. There's I think the ultimate sort of thing is, what would you do? What would you be willing to do to bring back up to gain your heart's desire? I think, isn't it? It's what it is. Whatever that may be. Obviously, the artist's character had lost his sight, so it was, what would you go through to get your sight back?
Yeah.
And ultimately, he decided that having his sight back wasn't worth the loss of his wife and child, so he undid it all at the end by presumably eating that final sweet. And we don't find out what Eva did, whether she decided it was worth it or not.
Everything about the film, like I said, it's very well produced. The acting is perfectly fine, well shot. Everything about it, apart from the story, I feel like is a mess for the most part, and that's what brings it down. I feel like it's definitely a school report. Try harder next time sort of thing. Like the concept is there, like you said, it's advent calendar. It's never been done before. The concept is there, but it's just a bit of a mess.
It is, and it's like, you'd think because of the nature of an advent calendar and how an advent calendar works, you go through sequentially from one day to the next, and they do sort of start following that. Yeah. But then there's things that loop back, and it ends up being a lot more confused than it should be.
Kind of tried to be too clever with it.
There's probably that, but also as well, it's like it's maybe too rigidly in that format as well, because it is just, and this is door number 11. This is what happened. This is that happens there. This is 12.
Yeah.
This is 13. Door, and it's just it doesn't feel like there's enough interaction between those scenes, I suppose. It also doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of peril, really.
No.
Like,
not many stakes.
Things. I don't think the stakes are. I mean, okay, she shoots her dad, which
that's quite...
which is definitely up there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But arguably, her dad wasn't well. It was, perhaps there's an element of mercy there. I don't think there's, and what she was responsible for ultimately was like a man that attacked her, a woman that she'd never met who, again, clearly was suffering.
Yeah.
they're like you say, I don't think the stakes were really high enough. It'd be interesting if it was more like there was like a Saw element in there, like there was more sort of suffering for her to go through to achieve what she wanted. It didn't ever really feel like she was that bothered about what was happening to these other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think the stakes didn't feel high enough. They didn't feel like there was that real element of suffering or peril. She was being particularly tortured in order. And like I say, she ended up quite rich, and although they never explored that, she was making fat stacks of cash for doing nothing. She didn't need another job. She was fine. Yeah. So yeah, it was weird. It was a weird one.
I don't think I would recommend it, and that's not on, like I said, not in the sense it's a bad film. I just wouldn't. I don't think I could recommend it. I don't think I could have other than this, what we've just done, a chat with someone about it. Really,
that's it. That's it. I think I wouldn't recommend it either. I think I'd say, oh, there's this film about this, and but just let me tell you about it. Yeah, it's not really worth watching. Yeah, this is what happens. Yeah, it's one to miss. I think. Nice to see something different. Yep. And again, apart from sort of more extreme horror films, this is one of a very small number of French movies I've seen. So good to watch something different in that regard. Yeah. But yeah, not great. Not one I'll revisit. Yeah. Not really much else to say. Yeah, we're done with Christmas now. We're done with Christmas. We're moving on. We're moving on because we got more business to take care of next week, where we're starting to come towards the end of our Monsters of Universal series, which I thought we had 2 left, but we got 3. We've got 3 left, I believe. Yeah. So next up is the Wolfman. I've not seen any of the next 3. I've seen one of them. I know which one that is. And you know which. Yeah, okay. And you know which one. Oh, hello, who's that? Yes, so next week will be Wolfman, and then it will be the 2 weeks after. The next 2 weeks will be finishing it off. Ready for our next ongoing series. Raven Tombola. Horror Tombola, whatever we call it. Random movie mashup. Yeah. That's the one. And as of next week, I'll be getting out whatever we pick to do for February. We've got to work that out. Got to work that out. Now, we don't have we do have a holiday in February. We do, and we haven't done that. Should we do Valentine again? Oh my God, we did Valentine. No, I completely. I know it's a bit now on this, but I completely forgot we did Valentine last year. What? How dare you? But we got My Bloody Valentine, so maybe we look into that. Maybe we look, but maybe we not do the good one. Maybe we do the remake. Okay. The 2009 3D remake. But yeah. Yes. We'll be uploading the February schedule soon. Check us out on all the glorious audio streaming services, Google, Amazon. Oh my God, I've got that completely wrong. Spotify, Apple, Google, Podbean, Amazon, and YouTube. And you can find us on all the social medias at _Dreadcast, Twitter, X, Instagram, and the TikTok. I had to close my eyes to do that. I had to close my eyes to focus and get all of that out. I feel like if you just get back into the swing of it, you had it down. I did. Is there anything in the mailbag? I mean, what? Because we've always got the old emails, snail mail. What do you think? Please, somebody. No one cares. Somebody send us an email. No. You can send, if you want to send us an email, you can do that at thedreadcastpodcast@gmail.com. Just at this point, just anything. Like, tell us what's going on. What's up? Tell us what we're doing wrong. Yeah. Do that. I mean, it might be that we're leaving this till the end, and let's try it at the beginning next time. Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening by this point. If you are still listening, thank you very much. We
Yes,
do
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
We love you all. You're great. Thank you for all your patronage over the last 2 years. I think you've been here a year now.
Wow.
Yeah. Child's Play last January. So
That was January. Okay, cool. Yeah, there we go. Happy 1 year anniversary to me, I guess.
Happy 1 year anniversary to you. Yeah, it was 1 year ago. There we go. Child's Play released 15th of January. So there we
Pretty
go.
much, yeah.
There
Excellent.
we go. Okay,
Well,
so
never.
until next time then, we'll hopefully have picked our films for the Coffin Tombola Raven Horror Tombola thing. And
We'll maybe have a snappier title.
onto the Wolfman next time.
Onto the Wolfman. Until then, thank you ever so much for listening, and we will catch you
We didn't come up with an end thing.
on the flippity flip. No, we didn't.
The flippity flip.